It is 3 a.m. You are lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, completely exhausted. And then, without warning, it arrives. Not a nightmare, not a worry about tomorrow, not even something that happened this week. Something that happened 5 years ago. Maybe it was something you said at a party that landed completely wrong. Maybe it was a presentation where your voice cracked at the worst possible moment. Maybe it was a text you sent that you immediately regretted. Maybe it was something so small, so genuinely insignificant that you cannot even explain why your brain chose it. But there it is, playing on a loop, in high definition, with full surround sound. Your face goes hot, your stomach tightens, you pull the blanket over your head as if that will somehow help. You say, out loud, alone, in the dark, "Stop it." And your brain ignores you completely. You lie there for 45 minutes, replaying a 30-second interaction from half a decade ago, reconstructing every detail with forensic precision and torturing yourself with every possible version of what you should have said instead. Society calls this overthinking. Your friends tell you to let it go. Self-help books tell you to practice gratitude and move on. But modern psychology reveals something far more important about what is actually happening inside your brain at 3 a.m. You are not weak. You are not neurotic. You are not broken. Your brain is running one of its most sophisticated protective programs, and it has gotten completely, catastrophically stuck. Today, we are performing a full autopsy on the 3 a.m. thought loop, the neuroscience of intrusive memory replay, why your brain physically cannot let go of embarrassing moments, and what psychology actually recommends to finally make it stop. To understand why your brain replays embarrassing moments on an endless loop, we first have to understand what embarrassment actually is. Neurologically, embarrassment is not just an emotion, it is a social threat response. Your brain, specifically your amygdala, the fear center, does not distinguish between physical danger and social danger. For your nervous system, the possibility of being rejected, humiliated, or judged by other humans registers as a survival-level threat. This is not metaphor. This is evolutionary biology. For hundreds of thousands of years, being excluded from the group meant death. No shelter, no food, no protection. Being liked, being accepted, being seen as competent and trustworthy by the people around you, this was not a social preference. It was a biological imperative. Your amygdala has not received the update that you now live in a world where one awkward sentence at a dinner party will not get you exiled from the tribe. So when something socially threatening happens, when you say something wrong, do something embarrassing, fail publicly in any way, your amygdala does not just register the event. It flags it. It marks it with the neurological equivalent of a bright red warning label. Danger. Social threat. Do not forget this. And your hippocampus, the memory center of your brain, obeys. This is what psychologists call the shame imprint. Ordinary memories are stored with ordinary encoding. Something pleasant happens, it gets filed away. The details fade over time. This is normal memory consolidation. But memories tagged with shame, embarrassment, or social threat get encoded differently. They get encoded with emotional amplification. The stronger the emotional response at the moment of encoding, the stronger, more detailed, more durable the memory becomes. Shame is one of the most powerful emotional amplifiers that exists. It activates the stress hormone cortisol, which literally strengthens the synaptic connections storing that memory. This is why you can forget entire years of your life, but you cannot forget the moment you tripped in front of the entire classroom in 3rd grade. The shame made it permanent. And permanent memories do not stay quietly in the file cabinet. They come looking for you at 3 a.m. But why does your brain replay them? Why not just store the shameful memory and leave it alone? This is where we encounter the phenomenon. Psychologists call the brain loop, And the answer is both fascinating and deeply ironic. Your brain is not replaying that embarrassing moment to torture you. It is replaying it to protect you. Specifically, it is trying to solve a problem it has identified as unsolved. Your brain's threat detection system operates on a principle of emotional completion. When a threatening event occurs and is successfully resolved, when the danger passes, when you recover, when the social wound heals, your brain files the memory away. The loop closes, the system moves on. But when a threatening event occurs and is not resolved, when the embarrassment happened and you simply walked away, when there was no recovery, no repair, no moment of closure, your brain keeps the file open. It keeps returning to the memory because it is still looking for the exit. It is running simulations, replaying scenarios, searching for the version where you said the right thing, where people laughed instead of going silent, where you came out of it intact. It is trying to find the solution to a problem that has no solution, because the event has already happened. You are not overthinking. You are a highly sophisticated problem-solving machine that has been given an unsolvable problem and will not stop working until it finds an answer that does not exist. And this leads us to the never forget phenomenon. Why does the brain choose specific memories, sometimes seemingly trivial ones, to loop on? Research from the University of Chicago found something deeply revealing. The embarrassing memories that loop most persistently are almost never the objectively biggest failures in your life. They are rarely the most public, the most witnessed, the most consequential. They are the ones where the gap between who you were performing to be and who you actually were in that moment was most visible. The memory loops because it represents a moment of mask failure. A moment when the curated, filtered, socially acceptable version of you slipped and the messy, uncertain, unpolished real version was briefly exposed. Your brain treats that exposure as the threat. Not the event itself, but the visibility of the real you underneath the performance. And your nervous system, which has spent years carefully managing that performance, cannot let the exposure go. It keeps returning to the scene of the crime. So what does psychology actually recommend? How do you close the loop, calm the amygdala, and finally let yourself sleep? Step 1. Name what is actually happening. The single most effective intervention psychology has identified for intrusive memory replay is what researchers call cognitive labeling. Or in simpler terms, naming the process as it is happening. When the 3 a.m. loop starts, do not try to stop it. Do not white-knuckle it. Do not tell yourself to let it go. Instead, say, out loud or in your mind, exactly what is happening. My brain is running a shame loop. It has flagged a social threat memory and is searching for resolution. The loop is a protection mechanism. I am safe. This is not positive thinking. This is not affirmation. This is neurological interruption. The act of naming activates your prefrontal cortex, the rational, language-based part of your brain, which directly downregulates the amygdala's alarm system. You are literally using language to turn down the threat response. Studies from UCLA's psychology department found that labeling emotions and processes in this way reduces amygdala activation by up to 50%. Step 2. Give the loop a deliberate ending. Since the loop runs because the event has no closure, your brain needs you to manufacture one, not by rewriting what happened, not by pretending it was fine, but by deliberately choosing how the story ends, from a future perspective, not the past one. Write down, or simply think through 3 things. 1. What actually happened, stated as plainly and factually as possible, not the catastrophized version, just the facts. 2. What the realistic consequence was, not what you feared, what actually happened after. In most cases, almost nothing. 3. What you know now that you did not know then, what that moment taught you, however small. By walking your brain through this sequence, you are providing the resolution it has been searching for. You are closing the file. You are giving the hippocampus permission to move the memory from the active threat folder into the long-term archive. Step 3. Interrupt the loop physically, not mentally. Psychology has consistently found that intrusive thought loops are maintained by mental engagement. The more you try to think your way out of the loop, the stronger the loop becomes. You cannot outthink a process that lives beneath thinking. What breaks the loop is physical pattern interruption. When the replay starts, change your physical state. Stand up. Splash cold water on your face. Breathe out for twice as long as you breathe in. 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out, 6 times. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, reduces cortisol, and physiologically lowers the amygdala's alarm level. You are not escaping the memory. You are changing the physical conditions that allow the loop to run. Step 4. The most important one that nobody tells you. Stop trying to never have the memory again. The goal is not to delete the shameful moment from your brain's archive. That is neurologically impossible. The goal is to change your relationship to it. Every time you catastrophize the memory, every time you treat it as evidence of fundamental unworthiness, every time you spiral into what it says about you as a person, you re-encode it with fresh shame. You make it stronger. You hand the amygdala new evidence that this memory deserves its warning label. But every time you look at the memory with a degree of compassion, every time you recognize that the person who had that moment was doing their best with what they had in a situation they were not prepared for, you begin the process of reprocessing. The emotional charge slowly drains. The memory does not disappear, but it loses its teeth. Psychologists call this self-compassionate reappraisal. And the research is unambiguous. It is the single most effective long-term intervention for shame-based intrusive memories. You do not have to love the memory. You do not have to be grateful for it. You just have to stop treating it as evidence of something fundamentally wrong with you. Because the embarrassing moment happened to a person who was trying. That is all. That is enough. Your brain is not broken. It is running a protection system so sophisticated, so deeply wired that it has been trying to keep you safe from social rejection since before you had the words to understand what social rejection was. The 3 a.m. loop is not a character flaw. It is a misfiring alarm. And now you know how to turn it off. If this video finally explained why you cannot stop replaying that moment and helped lift the weight of believing something is deeply wrong with you, hit the subscribe button. On this channel, we don't just talk about random facts. We decode the hidden mechanics of your mind. We destroy the lies your brain tells you about yourself. And we help you understand the person in the mirror. I will see you in the next one.